The offseason of soccer is in session continues. Next stop is up with the head coach of the boys side at Benedictine, Charlie Moore. Coach, thanks for hanging out with us and going in session.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. So last season, I know it didn't finish the way that you wanted, meaning that you didn't get to the last match of the year. But when you look back, and I know that you've had some time to kind of reflect on a season that went 14-6, what sticks out in your mind?
I think really the start that we had, and that's normal for us. We, across all of Benedictine's programs, I mean, I did it, football coach does it, baseball coach does it. We play teams well above ourselves. We do that to test ourselves, see how much better we can be. And it wasn't unusual that we were like, I don't know, something like 1-5 or 4-5 at the start of any season. But the expectation for me before kicking a ball was that we would make the last 4 minimum with a chance of the final. A few weeks in, it really didn't seem that way. Not just because of the results. We had a lot of issues with players not staying because they were seniors and not being selected, etc., etc. But my expectation lowered a little to maybe Elite 8. But as we kicked on, and this is what we normally do, this is a trend for Benedictine soccer, our start is normally 500 or less. And then we hit a point where we go 12, 13 games unbeaten. And when we reach these more competitive teams in the playoffs, we're ready for it. We've already played teams that good, lost narrowly or got a result. So that's what stands out for me. Disappointment, major disappointment not getting to the final, but the boys were terrific. Absolutely terrific.
I mean, you lose 3 of your first 4. You lose to Richmond Hill, and we caught up with Stephen Peterson earlier this week. Cambridge. We know what Cambridge brings to the table,
and we beat them with a. We made a major change after the Richmond Hill games. They were back to back. I was so disappointed with the way the players had played. I brought in a load of kids, freshmen, and we did it. We knew what Cambridge are. We know what they are, and my expectation was, let's see what they can do. Well, we won. So, that's you can't really say any more than that.
Nope. I mean, then you turn around at 1-1, then you lose to South Effingham, you lose to Islands, and then once again you go back to the coast. You play Camden County, you get a win there, put a number up on New Hampstead. Then it's Glen Academy and May River out of Bluffton. You cross the river, and got some folks at May River to take you on, and then you go on that run where it was, I want to say 10 or 11 in a row.
11.
So when that team is in a rhythm like that, everything's all sorted out, and at least you hope that it is. Then you go on that run. What's it like to just kind of sit there and see the team do what you wanted them to do?
It's fantastic because it's the plan that comes to fruition. But like I said, it's a normal thing for us. I could show you the start of this season, and I look at the teams we scheduled, and I look at the results that could be. And if we could be 3-3, I'd be great. If we could be 6-0, I'd be elated. But we're most likely going to be 2-4. But those games will set the seeds for that run. And, so we're looking at teams. This year we're playing May River again. We're playing Glen Academy again. We got Mountain View coming down here. We're going to play Greater Atlanta Christian coming down here. So we're really going for quality opposition to play against.
When you look at how the sport has grown there on the coast over, let's say, the last handful of years, what's it been like for you to see the game continue on the high school level to grow and evolve to where it is right now?
I think it's great. I mean, I think overall, I've been here 20 years. My dad served, he was an American serviceman, so I've got a U.S. citizenship, although I lived most of my life in England. You can't tell this Tennessee accent coming out.
Exactly.
But when I first came here, I've been in Savannah this amount of time, and I did a little bit of club soccer, a little bit of high school soccer, a little bit of everything, even coached girls for the first time because the game was much bigger here then on that side of things. I would generally drive by ballparks and see kids playing basketball on a court or pitching a baseball. You drive around now, you see an awful lot of kids playing soccer. Awful lot of kids playing soccer. So the sport has grown, it's evolved, it's popular, and people are starting to understand it. Very frustrating market for me here. I feel we have the best facilities to train kids. We have the number of athletes to pick from. This country should win a World Cup, but there's coaching issues. There's coaching issues on the way we play the game. And the grassroots side of our game here is unfortunately elitist sport. I think if you could take it back to what Europe's got and South America's got, where all the kids play. I played pro and I came out of recreation. Every player comes out of recreation. There's no club sport in England. So if we could mirror that here, I mean, I know it's difficult because of the size of the country and the way the sport's evolved. This country would win a World Cup. We produce more professional soccer players than we produce, much more.
Could you do that on the high school level? The dynamic that is there with it, could you do it on the high school level and have it mirror it so they can be ready for college or ready for that first step professional?
Well, I sort of think that we do that, and I think that's why we've been successful. I'm not saying that when I joined the program 12 years ago, I came into the program and the players were mainly all high school players with not a lot of soccer experience. It was one sport there and another sport in the spring, or I just play because my buddies play. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we hadn't won anything since 1902. And, my remit was, what do you want? Because, I know all kids can't afford to play club. And I know all kids want to dedicate themselves for different sports, but what do you want? How are you structuring your training? What are you doing? Are you encouraging the kids to watch, even if they're not playing? And the answers to all of that was sort of no. And I said, well, I want to come in. I want to do it my way. And they said, yeah, that's okay. And I think the very first season was probably one of my worst seasons because I inherited a team. And a lot of them didn't play club. And a lot of them were great athletes. They didn't understand the game. And I think I had my worst season that season. And that was we made the last 16 and we finished second in the region. Ever since then, I introduced a mix of club players and a mix of players who play on and off and more kids watching it. We'd made like 8 Elite Eights, 2 semi-finals and won 2 finals back to back. That's not bad. I'd love to take all the credit for that. I think I can take some, but the kids that we brought in, the kids that we educated, the coaching staff, the structure that I brought in of having a goalkeeping coach, a defensive coach, somebody to coach the midfield, someone to work with the strikers, and then watch the game, watch Premier League, watch MLS, watch anything, play it as much as you can. I think that's worked for us. So, yes, I think our program probably tells you it can be done because of the success. We're not in Atlanta either. We're a 400 all-boys school. So, and our boys are offered soccer, football, basketball, lacrosse, tennis. They're offered all type. If I missed any guys at BC, I apologize. Golf. Got a great golf team. It's a rifle shooting team. So we offer a lot for just about 400 kids, and not all those 400 kids play sports. So they have to multi-sport. But I think the success is the way we've done it. And we've got a mixture on our team. If I've got 38 kids across 2 teams, JV and varsity, then I've probably got about 8 to 10 of them playing club. And I've got another maybe 10 to 12 that play 7v7 if they're sophomores, juniors, seniors in an adult league. I started playing when I was 11 in a men's team and played regularly and started. So I think it isn't just about the annoying thing, it's a pet peeve for me, is the cost for kids to go and play here. Everything should be recreation. Everything. And you scout from that and you bring from that. and don't make it an elitist sport. So I think what we've done, I think, can it be done on high school? I think the answer is yes, because we've done it. I'm not sure how many programs outside of Atlanta have done what we've done. Not many, I wouldn't think, but
right.
I could be wrong.
So then let me ask you this. How has reclassification affected your model and your game plan, considering you want to challenge yourself in your non-region schedule to begin with? Does reclassification really matter? I mean, because right now
I think it does. Obviously it does, because we were in 2A at one point, and when we'd won the second back-to-back champion in 2A, we'd sort of outgrown 2A. And we went to 3A, which was much better. And in that first season, we made the last 4 and lost in extra time and played great, and it was a great step up. And then we didn't stay there very long, and we were moved to 4A. And we don't know if after this year we're going to be moved to 5A. I think it makes a huge difference for someone like football. They're always consistently very good, but maybe up a couple of classifications, they wouldn't be. I felt we could have. I thought that 4A was one of the most competitive classifications. I almost feel, I know Stephen at Richmond Hill very well, I feel we could have gone to 7A and achieved the same or the final. It probably wasn't as good, in my opinion. But it does, because you got a school that's 400 and they multiply you up to whatever, playing against a school who's got 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. Now, I understand there's girls in there, but they've still got 4, 5, 6 times as many kids as you have to pick from.
On the whole, how competitive is Quad A? I mean, for someone who's never seen Quad A soccer, how competitive is Quad A as a classification?
4A?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very. I love it. I mean, I think it's very competitive in class. Our region, unfortunately, Islands are very good. There's always a big rivalry between us and them. They produce some really good players. Statesboro have really improved, but they've got a bit of a way to go. Wayne County is also improving, but they've got a bit of a way to go. Someone like New Hampstead, I really feel for them, but the lady there is trying to build something. I've actually tried to help her with that, how she can structure and what she can do. She's great and the kids are great. But it doesn't build quickly, as I said to her. I came into BC with a 5-year plan, and I promised a championship in 5 years, because I sort of knew I'd have a team. We won it in 4, we won it again in 5. The program's just moved on, but so some of these programs, Islands has got a good established program. Southeast Bullock's build into that. Wayne is building to that, and New Hampstead are trying to build to that. But we really, if you look at the region results, apart from the Islands fixture, that's no disrespect to any other coaches or teams, because they are really trying to do something. And I feel for them, because I came in and did the same thing. But it's taken like 12 years, it's not quick. Once we get outside, the playoff games are harder. Our playoff games in 4A, your first 32 game is like a last 8 game. There are some very, very, very good teams that just didn't get where they should have got. So, yeah, 4A I think, is the most competitive for soccer state. I think it's the most competitive classification. I like being in there as well. I think it's good.
You mentioned New Hampstead, and I want to go down this road for a second. For someone who has established a program like you have there at BC,
mm-hmm.
and trying to help out a program like a New Hampstead who did not have a win on the board this year,
right?
What would you have yet to invest in the sport to invest? And what would
I missed the bit before invest. You sort of went a bit like this, so I didn't get that. So I get that.
Yeah, New Hampstead, they didn't win a game this year.
Correct.
They were 14-0-8.
Correct.
What would you tell a program or a school that has not invested in soccer yet, and what would you continue to tell folks like a New Hampstead who is trying to invest and become part of the atmosphere? What would you tell them?
Exactly what I told the lady coach, who's such a nice lady. Your kids are enthusiastic, they're athletic, and they want to play. How much do they actually play? We're not talking about going and playing club. We're talking about pickup. We're talking about recreation if they have time. We're talking about watching the game, which is not necessarily being able to get a dish or sign up. A lot of the games are free. A lot of the kids use TikTok on their phone. How much can you get them to watch? And how much can you get them to emulate and learn by watching? And how much can you get them to play regularly? And once you do that, that's your start into building their knowledge of the game.
My last question for you, and thanks for hanging out.
No, that's right.
I imagine that part of this answer might be Danny Britt, but when you have a question, someone that has been as you have, you've been around it for your entire life.
Yeah.
When you have a question, who's on your speed dial to sit there and say, okay, I've got a question about the sport. I've got a question about coaching or something, some aspect of it. Who's on your speed dial these days?
Well, that's a pretty broad. Obviously, Coach Britt, and I believe in these coaches forums. I don't know whether we do enough of them, but we did a lot of them in Europe, and I know they do some here. But Coach Britt has a great knowledge of coaching. So yes, he's one of the people that I talk to. The other one is I've got some people in England. There's a guy called Ryan Gordon, and Ryan is a sports psychologist. He played for Norwich, and he also was the manager at Maidstone United in the conference. And he's in his 40s, and he's a great sports science guy. And I've had him link in with my guys over Zoom and stuff like that. I ask him. It's more about mind stuff. There's another guy called Jamie Lawrence, who's an ex-player, and I'll link into him. I mean, there's quite a few people. My mother, you're going to love this. She's 91. She lives in England. I speak to her every week. She coached. She's a great coach. I mean, I never played for her because I think she would have absolutely murdered me, But she was a great coach. She was a great coach. She knows the game. She grew up in a soccer family. My granddad played at Arsenal. My uncle played at Wrexham and Charlton. I played at Cambridge United. I had a brother who went on trial at Fulham. So we're a soccer family. But my mum knows the game. So occasionally she'll ask me, she follows it through my brother because she calls what we're on now the little box. She doesn't do technology. But, I'll say to her sometimes, we're at this stage and we're not doing this. And she'll come up with the most level-headed answer. 1, these are kids. 2, what about this? What about that? So there's a few people. She's in there. Coach Britt's in there. We used to have a coach called Ken Cooper, who was legendary. And I can remember, fantastic story, sitting with Coach Cooper, sitting with Ken at an all sports camp. And I'd been at the school maybe a year or two. And I could see that he knew his way around sport because of who he was. So I was asking him a couple of questions, and we had a good chat. And right at the end of this 20-minute chat, when we had break and went back to the kids, Coach Cooper turned and said to me, "Coach Moore, it's great to speak to you, but I'm sorry I didn't understand a word you said." And that was, for me, that was brilliant. But that was so yes, we've got some good coaches at BC. Kevin Farmer just retired from baseball, great coach. Danny Britt, great coach. Frank Williams at basketball, building the program, great coach. And we all spin off each other and talk to each other. But they would be my go-tos, but mainly the people, plus the people I've got in England and my mum. And I'm also not adverse to, I think as much as you learn, and I've played at a good level and coached at a good level, and I'm still doing that, obviously not the playing, anymore, although I'm sure I could if I tried, but I don't want to try. You've got to listen to your coaching staff. We have a fantastic coaching staff. We've got a great goalkeeping coach in Jack Turberville, brought in a young guy from Richmond Hill, Liam Fleming, who's at college at Georgia Southern, played for me and coached some club. Stephen Reich's just joined us. He's a speed and strength coach, played at a decent level. And those guys, it's not all about what I want to do. So if one of my coaches comes to me and says, hey, we're doing this, we're playing this way, have you thought about this? I'm going to listen to that because I don't know everything. I learned something at a very early age in coaching. I'm a Man City fan. So obviously I'm on a high at the moment because of Pep Guardiola. But Pep Guardiola, who I consider to be the best coach in the world, even before he came to City, in one of his in his book, he says, I learned more from stepping out, and he explained it. And at that time, I think Arteta was with him before he went to Arsenal. And he said, I was in the session, and Mikel came to me and said, step out, let me take the session. I'm not going to vary on anything you do, but then give me your input when you've watched it. So I think sometimes when you step away, watch someone else, watch your players, it's almost like your assistant or one of your coaches saying to you, this is what I see. Step out and see what I see. And so I do that a lot. When we train, it's all very structured, but I'll watch Stephen work with the defenders and the shape. I'll watch Liam work with the midfielders and the finishing. I'll go and watch Jack with the goalkeepers. And I'll have a look at what we're doing and how we're doing it and how we can improve it. Rather than when you're in there and involved and invested, you don't get everything. And you'll never reach any age and know everything. You won't. Sometimes one of your kids will actually come and say to you, I thought about this. If it's worth doing, I'm going to look at it or try it.
Well, as always, Coach, it's great and see what's going on at Benedictine. And, cadets are one of always my stops during American football season. And it's great to catch up with you on the soccer side of things. Thanks for going in session, off season with us and breaking everything down as to what's going on there in Quad A on the coast. Thanks for hanging out with us.
No, brilliant. Loved it. And I'm taking it. If I get on your link, we'll be able to listen to this, see this. I've asked, our AD asked me, and I said, but listen, I will say in finishing, what you're doing is absolutely great, because I've been considering doing a podcast. And I just felt that to cover it, it can go out worldwide, and it does, and but you've got to have that level of interest. And I looked at your website very quickly, and I looked at what you're doing very quickly. And I love the fact that you're covering the local team, Atlanta United, but you're covering everything. It's not just our game here. It's what about the World Cup? What about Messi coming to Inter Miami? What about City just winning the league? Women's World Cup coming up. So what you got is excellent. So if you want somebody to work for you for free, I don't want any money. I don't need it. But no, I mean, I've done a lot of this as well. I just did a podcast back in England with Jamie Lawrence about him possibly visiting here and what the game was like over here versus there. So I do a lot of these. But what you guys are doing, I think, is exceptional. I think it's really, really good. Didn't know we got anything like that. Atlanta is probably the best place to launch it, for sure. I think we're too remote and rural down here to do something like that. But you're doing a great job, so thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being one of our anchors down there on the coast, Coach. It's
no
great.
problem. We'll try and get you a final and maybe a trophy next year. But at worst, last four again. But I'd like to do better. And we've lost 2 or 3 really good players, but we've got some exceptional young players that showed up. We started 3 freshmen. We start 3 or 4 most years. And we got 2 or 3 that played a little bit of both. And then we got a couple of exceptional ones coming in this year. So, yeah, we're excited. But, I think thanks for involving us, because it is mainly Atlanta teams that are, there's no disrespect to any other teams down here, including us. They seem to be more competitive. We're trying to break that mold a little bit. We've done it to a degree, but we're not really going to do it till we're consistently in finals and winning more championships. I think football's definitely doing that. So, well, I think we are. I think,
All right. Well, so then one more question for you.
Yeah.
If Cromenhawk was available for you, if Danny said you could have him for a match, where would you put him?
Oh man, you see, I'm going to cheat here because Luke played middle school soccer. Did you know that?
No.
No, I did. So did Zaquan Bryan. So did a load of them. So you're going to put
Zaquan out on the wing?
Oh, Zaquan's going to play left or right wing or up top. Luke is going to play for me up top. Now, I think when he played middle school, they played him centre back because he was big and he could clear the ball and he could run. I'm going to play him up top and I'm going to knock the ball over the top for him. I say, go get it, son. Luke is a great kid. He's destined for great things. But there's quite a few. I mean, do you remember Gavin Stewart?
Yeah.
So Gavin is at Georgia Tech kicking. He played centre forward for me. He was terrific. Brad, his brother, didn't play for me, played baseball. Brad was better. Zaquan was terrific. Here's the thing. Some of them do come and play, but not many. We got a young man this year. I'm not going to name him because me and Coach Britt haven't spoken yet. But
okay.
He'll be a junior. No, Coach Britt's not going to mind because it's off-season for him. But we're going to talk about it first because I want my take on him, attitude-wise, on the field. I'm more worried about keeping him on the field and not getting him sent off because he's quick and he's played before, and I remember him in middle school, and he's very keen on doing this and as opposed to maybe track. So we'll talk about that. But shared athletes, something we haven't done too much. But yeah, a lot of those football guys, again, Scott Snyder at Westminster?
Mm-hmm.
The Scott's buddy of mine. He's got a lot of football guys that he does that with. They play for him. So we got a few. I mean, Asher Sigmund was a standout for us. He was a kicker. Hudson Grove was a standout. He was a kicker. Luke, I'd love to have Luke, but I can't afford the insurance if he gets injured for where he's going. But, yeah, that's where I'd play him, but I cheated. Sorry.
No worries about it. Always, Charlie. Thanks for hanging with us. Chat with you soon, my friend. Just be safe down there on the coast.
Thanks very much. Appreciate you having me on. Thank you.